So you texted me and said you had amazing orgasmic experiences with women in your life. And we definitely want to
Absolutely.
get there, but let's take it one step at a time and let's unpack this story because it didn't start that way, right? So, what were your struggles before joining TME?
So before I was struggling with a porn addiction. That was a big thing. So it was the porn addiction, and with women, it was just one failure after another. I had approach anxiety. Like I always felt comfortable after I got to know them, but I was always scared to approach women. Now, when I go check out groceries, I feel more comfortable, like even like talking to women, flirting with women. And it's not about just getting their number, but I feel more comfortable. And I didn't feel comfortable before your program. Another thing that I liked about your program is that, there was inner work. So I was able to, through the shadow work and also with the calls that I did with you, I was able to look at some of my shadows. It was clarity. The program gave me a lot of insight. It gave me more discipline in my life. One of the big things that I learned about polarity, the dance between the masculine and feminine, and your program empowered me to take the lead. So now when I date, like I take the lead, I feel more like a man. But one of the big things from this course was ever since I've graduated from your course, I've had a few partners and I've gave them mind-blowing orgasms. And and you teach that in your course as well. And I just want to put that in there for anybody who's wondering, like, are they going to learn techniques? I'm like, and yes, you will. The techniques that I learned from Stefo, and like Stefo taught us in the Sunday meaning how to be in fluid and how to listen to the body language. So it's just more than just the techniques.
Not only about technique, because you can learn all the technique in the world, but if the woman
Right.
is not trusting us as a man, as a trustworthy
Absolutely.
man with integrity and authenticity and not being leaky with our sexual energy, like no woman will surrender to technique alone, right? So that's why it's so important with
Absolutely.
the holistic approach that we do in the Tantric Man Experience of really looking at how can I step up to be a masculine leader with integrity, honesty, and authenticity, right? And that's what you
Mhm.
stepped into that I felt. But before we jump ahead too much, let's go back to you mentioned shadow there. What were your shadow aspects?
Before, women that I dated or if I was in a relationship, they was always complaining like you need to step up. They were always complaining, and I didn't understand. I mean, I even had some. I mean, you need to man up, and I was just clueless. What I learned in your course kind of gave me some insight because you touch on the polarity aspect of relationships and the shadow part. Like whenever we did our one-on-one, you kind of pointed out, and that there's other coaches that pointed it out as well. I was just seeing how that was still overshadowing my life. Some of the shame, some of the things I wasn't proud of. We like touched on that, and you gave me some advice, and I think you did a little bit of like hypnotherapy, kind of guide myself. And I think that was from our last call. And that's helped me not only approaching women, but to be more confident in my own life because there was a lot of insecurities that I was still carrying. But the shadow work, and I think that's week 6 or 7, kind of took a look at that. But when I had when we had the one-on-one, that's where it was more insightful when you did like the hypnosis with me and stuff like that.
Why was it so important for you to deal with this in your life right now?
It was important because I wasn't really sure if it was my shadow that was me, like, well, I wouldn't say made me, but being a factor into why I was addicted to porn. Um, I wasn't aware that it was a factor how it was infiltrating my relationships with the opposite sex. I wasn't expecting a shadow work course when I started working with you, but when we started working on that and I started identifying the different masks I was wearing, and just kind of identifying what was underneath that all. That was like very powerful and insightful. And I think that helped me, gave me some emancipation in a way. Now I try to be more aware of my self talk. I try to be more aware if I'm fearful, not to allow my fears to like prevent me from doing, like especially approaching women and stuff like that.
Mm,
Your course helped me identify things that were holding me back.
right.
Now, like when I date women, I'm more calm. I feel like your course has helped me, give me the tools on how to be more masculine, be more the leader, and
Yeah.
also being vulnerable. Because if you remember, like I had a hard time being vulnerable, like
Right.
expressing like how I feel, now
Right.
but I'm still working on that. I have the tools now from your course, from what you taught me, especially from the Sunday meetings, you
Right.
know.
You said you were surprised of the content in the program because the thing is that we talked about technique before. The same goes with dating. There's so much pickup line, pickup artists, the dating techniques, and how to get laid and all that stuff. And those things are great, maybe to get laid and get the first date, but they run short of actually creating a healthy relationship that lasts. Because many times when you
Mhm.
have to put up a show or you do certain tricks to manipulate the psychology, the evolutionary psychology of the female, right, and all that, it works, but only to a certain point. And that's why those programs fall short or actually finding the one and actually stepping into your true masculine power and potential, right? So that's why we work with that aspect as well, because without healing that fear of being vulnerable, that insecurity, you will never be able to really find yourself who you are beneath those things, because those are just
Right.
protective layers, right? And you dared to go deep and do the work. Not everyone is ready to do that level of work. May I ask you, like, how did you find me for the first time?
Well, so how I found you, it was like probably like a year before I had scheduled that meeting with you. I found your cosmic energy orgasm video. And I don't know how I came across that video, but I remember it caught my attention. And then when I watched it, I was like, all right, this dude knows what he's doing. So that's how I found your video. And then, like, right before your course, I was dating someone and she just kind of blew me off, and I was like devastated. So then I was like kind of desperate. And I remember watching your video, and I remember I went on your website, and you talked about you specialize like helping men with their relationships and stuff. So I was like, all right, let me check them out. So I booked a call with you, and I was like, all right, so this is what I need right now because I keep getting the same results.
What were some of the initial results you saw?
Okay. So the hard part for me is when we're doing the Sunday groups was identifying like what I was feeling. Like it was hard for me to get in touch with that. I was like, at first I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling. So I think for me that was the hardest part. It wasn't until like probably like week 5, and after that, that's when I started to become more aware of like what I was really feeling. And like, just admitting that I had a shitty week was kind of hard. So being vulnerable was something that was hard, difficult in the beginning. I wouldn't say it was difficult. I just wasn't used to being around guys and just be like, oh man, I'm sad, or I'm feeling like this because most when you get around a group of men, they don't conversate that way. So that was new. You gave us that daily exercise. I dove right in and just started doing it. Well, I will say the hardest exercise, and I won't mention it because I want to save it for. There was an exercise, I think it was like on week 3 or 4, but you even said it was the hardest. That it took me about a month to get used to it. It was the breathing exercise, like pulling the energy up from from
Sublimating, yes.
the sublimating. Yeah, that was hard. So that the sublimation, Where but now it's like it's gotten easier. It's become easier. And also there's this other breathing technique. That one was the icing on the cake. And that's where I experienced my first like full body orgasm without masturbating. And I've experienced that a few times already, especially in lovemaking. And that's something I didn't get right away, but I was consistent with it and I got it, you know. So
Congrats, man. Congrats. And that's the holy grail. Many guys want to know, how does it feel? Can you explain your experience of the energy orgasm?
so the last time I had the energy orgasm, that was probably the most powerful one. I mean, it was gradual every time, but the last time I did it, it was like I felt it go up my spine. So I felt it go up my spine. It was like shivers. And I mean, it was like a shivering sensation that went up my spine. And then I kind of felt it when I breathed in. And then and then when I exhaled, I just felt it like it just went through my body, you know. It was very vibratory, you know, but it was very intense when it was going up my spine. I've never felt anything like that before.
Wow.
Yeah, that was so if y'all are watching this, it's possible. You can, if you're consistent with it, you can have that same experience.
Wow. You never felt anything like that before. So
No,
it sounds
never.
like a powerful experience. And how did you feel afterwards?
So when you're ejaculating every day, best way I can compare it, when you're ejaculating every day, you feel drained. I had more energy. Usually when you ejaculate, you have less energy and you're discombobulated. But after that, I felt more energy and I felt like I had more passion and I was like more hungry. I had more desire. Yeah, there was more desire, more energy. Like I felt there was just a vibrance to it, if that makes sense. You know, like I felt more alive. And
That's
like
what
it was
we,
kind and also it was a little psychedelic because like once I got it up to like my crown chakra, I kind of had visuals, you know. So like my so it just it I had like some visuals. So it was kind of psychedelic too.
funny that you would mention that because a lot of people describe the similarities between a psychedelic experience on drugs and the energy orgasm or the tantric sex orgasm with, either solo or with a partner, right? So
Right.
there's some similarities there when we are disconnecting our animal brain and we go into this like altered state of consciousness. So there's two pathways to go to the same place, but the one is
Hmm.
just way more natural and you don't need to be dependent on a substance, right?
I couldn't believe it happened. Like it's hard to believe it until it actually happens. Like when you experience it, like I'm like, okay, that was it. You
Yeah, and
know,
what you
so
say about like radiating, you felt more hungry and radiating. That is the masculine energy we want to date from, find
mhm.
our partner, and attract. Instead of chasing women or sex, we are attracting from that power, from that energy. And that's also where we save our marriages from the brink of divorce or a breakup, right? It's like we cultivating that vibrancy and it spreads throughout our pores, our eyes, and we feel it. You felt it. You felt the difference, right? So
Yeah.
that is one of our secret sauce that I can mention.
There was like a euphoria to it as well. Kind of similar to taking like MDMA. So like I remember it was like kind of like that. Like I was like, oh my God, like I'm just like I can just feel it just going through my body and like yeah, it was crazy that you can actually induce that through a breathing technique through your own sexual energy. That was amazing.
Yeah. What would you say is
I
like the
never
top?
thought I'd be able to experience that.
I'm happy you did, bro. I'm happy you did. I'm so glad for you. How long would you say it took you to reach there? The program is 9 weeks. Did you do it within that time frame or did it take a little bit longer?
So I actually did it within that time frame. Now the powerful one that I experienced, that was, like, after the program, but being consistent with the practice, it felt like it was stacking.
Hmm.
And also practicing semen retention, like, just the more of that sexual energy that was building up, practicing the semen retention, it was like the more it would build up whenever I would do the practices that you teach in your course. So, yeah, I'm a living testament that you can experience that.
It's possible. It's possible that there's a. I read a research yesterday actually that only about 5 to 7% of men actually ever going to experience something like that, like an energy orgasm or sacred sexuality, men over 30, right? So it is possible, but it requires some work to get there. So you are one of the lucky 5 to 7% of men, I guess, so that's awesome. What are the wins now?
So my routine is that I try to go at least 6 to 8 weeks without ejaculation. Usually around week 8, I'll ejaculate. Once I get to week 8, that's when I'll release. That's a big win. My next plan is probably to try to go like 3 or 4 months. So I'm gonna try that next. Another big win, I've dated a few women since I left this course and had some success, especially with leading and also especially like in the bedroom. Every one of them told me that was the best sex they've ever had. 2 out of 4 of them would say, like, "No one has ever done that to me." I had one tell me that that was the first time she ever had a vaginal orgasm. In your course, you didn't focus just on the G spot. There was, like, other spots that I was unaware of that you teach in your course. One of them that blew her mind, and that was, like, the A spot. That's that's the magic spot right there.
So how are these women reacting? How do you feel about it?
Oh, it makes me feel great. One of them, we had sex for like 4 hours, and I gave her she lost count of how many orgasms I gave her. She squirted. There was this one girl, she told me before she met me, she thought squirting was fake. She didn't think it was real. And then I gave her her first squirting orgasm, and she blew her mind. She's like, "I heard of it, and I always thought it was fake." Now she's a believer. The one girl, she texts me right after, the 4-hour session, the one I had a 4-hour sex with. She said that she's addicted, you know, she like craves me. And before your course, I didn't get those responses. Before, it was hard for me to to connect emotionally, and they like it that I'm able to connect with them on an emotional level, you know? And I learned that in your course. Like before, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I was trying to like fix their emotions or whatever, but I learned in your course not to do that and just be present, you know?
Right. And that's probably the one of the keys to your success, the holistic approach, like we talked about. Because it's not just about like pressing a button or being like a human dildo to women or,
Right.
doing a trick on them. It's not about that. It's about being an integrated man. But we can also celebrate sex because sex is our human birthright. We shouldn't feel
Absolutely.
shy or feel like it's wrong or bad or a sin. We should celebrate that. So we're celebrating all these things with the caveat of saying it comes with the ability to emotionally connect to women. It comes with, feeling that you're a present man that can hold space for them, that you can be a trustworthy man. So that's the whole package, and that's what we have worked with you on. And I'm super proud of you, bro.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I give a lot of thanks to you now. I feel like I'm like not only a good lover, but definitely a master in the bedroom.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And we should be proud of that. Is there any other messages you would like to share before we wrap it up?
Just take a leap of faith and do it. I mean, Stefo really understands relationship. He really understands polarity, especially he understands women. You get a lot of insight from this course. You're going to be a master in the bedroom, but it's also therapeutic. There's healing. You're going to receive like some healing from this course as well. There's a lot to learn. You definitely need to make time to study. You're not just going to get little materials here and there. You're going to get loads of information. A lot. And not only that, like the Sunday meetings, you'll learn something new because Stefo will teach you some new skills. You learn new things in the men's group every Sunday. There's a lot to learn. You're going to learn a lot. If you want to learn how to be good with the opposite sex, like this is definitely the course for that. Because you're going to learn about yourself, and learning about yourself and getting in touch with your divine masculine, which Stefo will teach you how to tap into that. You definitely is going to help you guide the divine feminine.
Amen, bro. Amen. Thank you so much, James, for showing up here today and inspire
Thank
everyone
you,
with your
brother.
courage and your successes. Thank you, bro.
All right. All right. Thank you.